Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are in this fine country, and allow me to welcome you to Amtrak Vacations presentation today on part 2 of our famous and iconic route series. Very exciting. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Nick Bennell, and I have proudly been with Amtrak Vacations now for just over 5.5 years. A little bit about myself. I am a huge fan of rail travel. I've done quite a bit extensively all throughout the world, and I'm very excited to be here with all of you today to go over some of this great information that we have going on. So definitely stay tuned towards the end of the presentation today, as one lucky person will win a $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card, as well as we have some really wonderful exclusive discounts that you won't want to miss out on. Very, very exciting. Got some really great news for you all as well that I'm going to share with you in just a moment. But before I do so, don't forget to download the handout where that top arrow is pointing. It's going to have a lot of the great information of what we go over today, of some of our packages and vacations that we have to offer to all of you, as well as if you have any questions at all throughout the webinar today, please feel free to input them into where that second box is, and I will be more than happy to answer any questions towards the end of the presentation today. So let's have some fun with this. And first off, let's hop right into my great news. Yes, that's right. We are in the midst of our early bird sale. It kicked off this morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and I'm very excited to offer this to all of you. It's good until next Friday. So you have them between today and next Friday to take full advantage of this. And I can tell you the phones have been ringing off the hook all day, and it's your time to take full advantage of this. If you book any 2019 vacation package, you can upgrade to roomettes and you get $200 off per couple, or if you upgrade to bedroom accommodations, you get $300 off per couple. You want to make sure you book this by next Friday to take full advantage of this. You won't want to miss out on this. As I mentioned, the phones have been ringing off the hook. This promotion is too good to last. It's good till next Friday, the 14th of September. So let's ask ourselves first off, why Amtrak Vacations? Well, there's several reasons for that. First off, traveling by rail is a bucket list experience. In fact, we surveyed all of our travelers last year as to why they chose traveling with Amtrak and Amtrak Vacations, and the number one consensus answer we kept getting was that it was a bucket list trip. If you think about it, you've done ocean cruises, you've done all inclusives to Mexico, the Caribbean, Hawaii, you've gone to Walt Disney World, you've now conquered river cruising, and you're looking for that next adventure, something fun, something different, something unique. The rail can satisfy each and every single one of those needs. There's room to roam. Take what you know about being cooped up in an airplane for hours on end, or in a motor coach for hours on end where you can't get up and move around. What with Amtrak, it's the exact opposite. You're actually encouraged to get up and move amongst the train. Go visit the cafe car, visit the dining car, or visit my personal favorite, the observation car. There's less hassle. There's none of this business about checking in 24 hours ahead of time, or paying for your checked luggage ahead of schedule, or get this, showing up 2 to 3 hours before your departure like you would with a flight. No, with Amtrak, how does 45 minutes to an hour sound? I can tell you that is the average time people generally will show up prior to the Amtrak departure, truly making it as hassle-free and as worry-free as possible for all of you. There's city to city service. Now, I love this because one thing I dislike are long airport transfers. Sometimes after a long flight, you fly into a place and lo and behold, you have sometimes up to an hour-long drive to get you to where you need to be. Where's the fun in that? You want to start your sightseeing off right off the bat. Well, with Amtrak, we make that easy for you as we go from downtown to downtown. Look at New York Penn Station, for example. It's right in Midtown Manhattan. Look at Chicago Union Station, which is Amtrak's hub station. It's right in the heart of the loop of downtown Chicago. Or Los Angeles Union Station is right in the heart of downtown LA. We get you to where you want to be so you can start your sightseeing and your vacation on the right foot. Satisfy your hunger. Now, this will touch base on just a little bit later. I just want you all to know that whenever you do upgrade to the sleeping accommodations on board the train, meals are automatically included. You won't want to miss out on that, as the food on Amtrak is fantastic. And lastly, flexibility. One of the best parts about our vacation packages is they depart almost daily. With just the exception of a couple of our seasonal national park packages, every single one of our packages operates when you want it to operate. It's not like the cruises where there's select sailing dates, or the escorted guided tours where there's select start dates. You can travel when you want to travel. How exciting is that? Now, I love showing this map because it really amazes me at how extensive Amtrak's system truly can be. In fact, Amtrak services 46 out of the 48 continental states here in the U.S., with the exceptions of South Dakota and Wyoming. And last year, Amtrak set their ridership record with over 32.5 million passengers. To put that into perspective, if Amtrak was an airline last year, they would have been the sixth most flown airline in the world. Definitely goes to show you that rail travel is in demand. It's very popular right now, and now is your chance to experience it firsthand. Now, you might ask yourself, where can I start my rail vacation? Well, the correct answer is anywhere. All of our vacation packages can be customized to start from your hometown. There's over 500 Amtrak stations throughout the United States and Canada, and any of our packages can start right from your local station. So keep that in mind. Nothing is definitely off limits with Amtrak Vacations. Now, one of my favorite elements with the train, once again, is the freedom to get out of your seat and move around. I hate being on an airplane and cooped up in the seat for hours on end. It's uncomfortable, and it's not how traveling is supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to get comfortable and enjoy yourself. With Amtrak, you can get up and freely move amongst the train. You don't have to stay in your seat the whole time. Get up, enjoy the other cars on the train, like the observation car, and mingle with your fellow riders. Or how about the fact you could skip the traffic and take the train? In fact, we have a saying we like to use around here. Why not take the road less traveled? That road being Amtrak. All you have to do is kick back, relax, and let us do the driving for you. Or how about, do you not like to fly? I can tell you this picture right here speaks volumes to me. As my sister does not travel by Amtrak, doesn't travel by flights at all. She's afraid to fly. She has to rely on Amtrak every single time she wants to go on vacation to get to her destination. So if you don't like to fly, Amtrak is the perfect solution for you. And now's my favorite slide on the presentation. What do we see on the left-hand side? We see clouds, right? It's pretty boring if you ask me. And if you think about it, clouds are going to look the same no matter where you go in the world. It's true from an airplane. They're going to look the exact same. But we look at the right-hand side. We see pristine coastlines. We see big cities. We see mountains. These are just some of the examples of those beautiful landscapes that can be found here in the United States and what you can see from Amtrak. If you think about it, we're really lucky here in the U.S. as we have every type of landscape imaginable. We have those beaches and coastlines, those big cities, those mountains. But we also have deserts, rainforests, swamplands, prairies, plains, small town America. And the best part about each of it is it can be seen from the comfort of an Amtrak train. Amtrak truly is the best way to see the landscapes of our country, right in our backyard, folks. How exciting is that? And one of the best parts about our vacation packages is you can choose the hotels that work best for your needs. We work from hotels ranging from 3 to 5-star properties in all of the destinations that we work with. So if you're a bit more of a luxury traveler, don't worry, we got your back. We got those 5-star hotels for you. And we offer so many different types of travel styles that can really cater towards any type of traveler. First, we have our independent rail journeys. Now, these are our multi-city, multi-state, week-long to even up to 16-day-long trips. They're incredibly comprehensive as they do cover quite a bit of ground. So if you are looking for a bit of a longer trip, these are the perfect ones for you. We have our rail experiences, which put the focus on the journey rather than the destination. So we tend to keep the hotel and destination stays at a minimum, where the true focus is being on the train as much as possible. Rail getaways. These are wonderful, especially if you're looking to get away for maybe just a couple of nights. As we have these, there are quick single city 2 to 3 night long trips, and we have these all throughout the United States and Canada. Really great option if you're looking just to get away, maybe for a long weekend or in between now and your bigger trip, maybe months down the line if you want to add something in the midst of it. We have our rail and sail programs. Now, I love these because they take two completely different travel styles and roll them up into one amazing trip. Not only do you get the journey on board Amtrak, but we combine that with an Alaskan cruise out of Seattle or Vancouver. In fact, we partnered up with Norwegian Cruise Lines to bring these packages to life. And lastly, custom rail journeys. Keep in mind that everything you see here today and everything that we might have to offer to you on our website or in our brochure has the ability to be customized to your liking. Maybe you want to add nights to a package. Maybe you want to remove nights. Maybe you want to add a destination or remove a destination. Maybe you want to build a package from the ground up, but we might not necessarily offer what you want. Well, let us know or let your travel agent know, and we can make that dream trip become a reality, as any of our trips can be done custom. How excited is that? So with all of that said, let's hop right into it. with an all aboard, and let's visit some of our top packages that utilize some of the most famous and iconic routes on the Amtrak system. And keep in mind too, before we hop right into this, you can explore a new perspective by seeing our most popular national parks here in the US, as we actually hold and carry our own allocated space at some of the hardest and most popular national parks lodges here in the United States. We hold our own allocated space at the lodges inside the parks. We have the space for you, and it's time for you to see some of our national treasures. So let's hop right into it, into one of our top selling itineraries for the past 2 years. That's right, our Grand National Parks with Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon. Now, this trip is incredibly popular because A, it visits some of the most iconic national parks here in the United States, but B, utilizes some of the most scenic routes that Amtrak has to offer. So this trip, for example, we start off in Chicago and we do the overnight train from Chicago to Salt Lake City on board the California Zephyr. Now that train will go through Iowa, it'll go through Nebraska, it'll go right through the middle of the Colorado Rockies, leading you through Utah into Salt Lake City. It's an overnight train. When we arrive to Salt Lake City the next evening, we do one night in a downtown Salt Lake City hotel. From Salt Lake City, the next morning, we will take the Salt Lake Express, which is a motor coach transfer, which will take us from Salt Lake City up to West Yellowstone, where we'll do 2 nights in one of the lodges up in West Yellowstone. And while we're up there, we will get a full day sightseeing tour of Yellowstone National Park's lower loop. Now, this tour is fantastic, and it definitely is the most comprehensive tour that Yellowstone National Park has to offer. You'll be able to see a lot of the key sites that Yellowstone is famous for, such as the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, the Grand Prismatic Springs. You'll even get to see the Old Faithful geyser erupt on this tour. In fact, it's guaranteed you will see the Old Faithful geyser erupt on that tour. Once our fun in Yellowstone is all said and done, we will then take the Salt Lake Express motor coach back down to Salt Lake City, where we'll then catch an evening train, an overnight train on Amtrak's California Zephyr, where we will arrive into San Francisco the following afternoon. And in San Francisco, we're going to do 2 nights in a centrally located hotel right in the heart of San Francisco, typically in the Fisherman's Wharf or Union Square areas of town. And while we're in San Francisco, we get a full day guided tour to Yosemite National Park. Now, you won't have to worry about getting yourselves to and from the park. The tour will pick you up at your hotel, drive you out to the Yosemite National Park, and you get a full day comprehensive tour of the Yosemite Valley. Once our fun in San Francisco and Yosemite are all said and done, we're then going to hop aboard Amtrak's most scenic train. In fact, it's been voted the most scenic train in North America the past 3 years, and that's called the Coast Starlight. And we're going to do some day travel from San Francisco down to Los Angeles. Now, it's a full day of travel, but it is not an overnight. You leave San Francisco in the morning time, you arrive into Los Angeles later in the evening, and when you arrive into Los Angeles, you do one night in a downtown Los Angeles hotel. The next morning and afternoon, you'll have a guided city tour of Los Angeles, which will highlight a lot of the famous sites of Los Angeles, such as downtown LA, Hollywood. You'll be able to see the Grauman's Chinese Theater and the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It will take you up into Beverly Hills, where you might be able to see some of your favorite celebrities' houses. Really fantastic sightseeing tour that definitely gives you the full view of Los Angeles. After the tour, we'll board the train that evening on the Amtrak Southwest Chief, and we'll do an overnight train from Los Angeles to Williams, Arizona, where we arrive the following morning. And in Williams, we're going to switch right over to the Grand Canyon Railway, which is that antique steam train that will take you from Williams up to the south rim of the Grand Canyon. Now, that train ride is fantastic, as it adds that antique steam train experience to a train vacation. So not only do you get the Amtrak experience, but you get that classic steam train experience as well. When we get up to the South Rim, you're met by a motor coach for a guided tour of the Grand Canyon South Rim, and then we'll check into one of the lodges up at the Grand Canyon Village at the South Rim. After our night at the South Rim is all said and done, we'll take the next day in the afternoon, we'll take the Grand Canyon Railway back down to Williams, Arizona, and we'll do it one night in Williams at the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel, which is a really fantastic train-themed hotel. Once our fun in Williams is all said and done and our night is done there, we will then hop aboard Amtrak's Southwest Chief and do the overnight train from Williams back to Chicago. And I can tell you firsthand, I've done it myself personally. The Southwest Chief offers some really amazing scenery as you pass through the Southwest, especially. You get to see the Red Rocks for a good chunk of that train ride. In fact, I can tell you from personal experiences, I remember riding through New Mexico and see wide open desert plains with snow-capped mountains in the backgrounds and plateaus. I mean, I'm from Massachusetts. We don't have plateaus here. So for me, it was truly something memorable. I honestly felt like John Wayne or Clint Eastwood were going to ride alongside the train and hop on board, as I felt like as I was in the true Wild West. It's one of the best experiences I've ever had on board a train, and the scenery was absolutely stunning. So just to highlight this, everyone, it's 13 days, 12 nights. We get sightseeing tour of Yellowstone National Park's lower loop. We get a sightseeing tour of Yosemite National Park right out of San Francisco. We get a city tour of Los Angeles. We get round trip on board the Grand Canyon Railway. We get the Motorcoach Freedom Tour of the South Rim. All in all, 8 nights hotel, 4 nights on board the train. And yes, those 4 nights on the train are in coach accommodations, which we can absolutely upgrade to the sleepers, where you'll get a private room with beds, shower access, and your meals on the train would be included. And keep in mind, too, with the early bird special going on right now, you could save yourselves $200 off with roomettes per couple, or $300 off with the bedrooms per couple. Now, maybe you don't really want to visit our national parks, and maybe you just want to be on the train as much as possible and see the most of the country by rail. Well, this right here will definitely fit that for you. This is our Grand Rail experience. And I love this because it is definitely our most comprehensive of the rail experience packages. So this starts off in Chicago, and we'll do 2 nights on board the Empire Builder train, which is the most northern route. And that train ride's amazing. It goes up through Chicago, through Wisconsin, through the Lakes region of Minnesota, across the prairies of North Dakota, into Big Sky country of Montana, leading us through a little bit of Idaho as we cross the Columbia River, leading us into Seattle, Washington. And that's 2-night journey on board the train. When we arrive into Seattle, we'll do 2 nights in a downtown Seattle hotel. And while we're there, we get a sightseeing city tour of the city of Seattle. Now, once our fun in Seattle's all done, we will then hop aboard the Coast Starlight, and we'll get to do the Coast Starlight in its full entirety from Seattle on the overnight train down to Los Angeles, where we arrive the following evening. And in Los Angeles, we're going to do 1 more night in Los Angeles at a downtown hotel. And while we're there, we get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour during the daytime for the next day. It's once again a really great way to see the city of Los Angeles and a lot of the famous iconic sites that Los Angeles is known for. After our tour and our day in Los Angeles is all completed, we'll then hop aboard an evening train, and we'll do 2 nights on board the train on the Sunset Limited, which is the most southern route on board Amtrak. And that train will leave Los Angeles. It'll go through southern Arizona, through southern New Mexico, leading through us through Texas, right through like El Paso and San Antonio, as it leads us into New Orleans, where we arrive 2 days later. And when we arrive into New Orleans, we'll do 2 nights in a downtown New Orleans hotel, typically in the French Quarter or on Canal Street. While we're in New Orleans, we get a sightseeing city tour, which is really fantastic, as it highlights a lot of the key sites that New Orleans is famous for. Once our fun in New Orleans is all said and done, we'll then hop aboard the Crescent train. And that train ride is fantastic because you'll get some really great landscapes and scenery on board the Crescent. It actually goes up through Louisiana, through Alabama, through middle of Georgia, like through Atlanta, through western South Carolina, western North Carolina, and western Virginia, leading us into the next day, our nation's capital. The next morning, we arrive into Washington, D.C. And when we arrive into Washington, D.C., we do 1 night in a centrally located hotel in Washington, typically in the Capitol Hill or DuPont Circle area of the city. And while you're there, you get the Monuments by Moonlight tour. Now, I have been all over the world, and I have done some really great sightseeing in all the countries I've been to. The Monuments by Moonlight tour is one of the best tours I have ever done. I loved it. It's a nighttime tour that will take you by some of the famous memorials and monuments of Washington, D.C. at nighttime. You get to see them all lit up. I can tell you, seeing the Lincoln Memorial, as well as the Washington Monument and the FDR Memorial and the Martin Luther King Memorial lit up at night is truly inspiring. It's really beautiful. Once our fun in Washington is all said and done, we will then hop aboard the Capital Limited train and do the overnight train from Washington, D.C. back to Chicago. This one's 14 days, 13 nights. We get hop-on, hop-off tours of both Seattle and Los Angeles. We get a city tour of New Orleans, as well as the Monuments by Moonlight tour in Washington, D.C. Round-trip Amtrak and coach accommodations, 6 days, hotel, 7 nights on the train. And yes, this trip you absolutely will want to upgrade to the sleepers, where you'll get the private room beds, shower access, and your meals on the train would be included. Really marvelous package, very popular. But maybe you don't want to do something this long, or maybe you want to do, you like it, the idea, but it just might be a tad bit too long, or maybe you just want to utilize the 3 most scenic routes that Amtrak has to offer. Well, say no more. We got our ever popular Northern Rail experience. It's a little bit shorter than the Grand Rail experience, but it utilizes the 3 most scenic routes that Amtrak has. So this trip brings us to the Empire Builder once more, with the 2 nights on the train between Chicago and Seattle. We arrive in Seattle and we do 1 night hotel in downtown Seattle. And while we're there, we get a hop on, hop off sightseeing tour of the city of Seattle. Once our fun in Seattle is all done, we then hop aboard the Starlight once again, the most scenic train in North America the past 3 years. We hop aboard that and we do the overnight train from Seattle down to San Francisco, where we arrive the following morning. And in San Francisco, we do 2 nights in a centrally located hotel, once again in the Fisherman's Wharf or Union Square area of town. And while we're in San Francisco, we get a hop on, hop off sightseeing tour for a day, but we also get a full day tour of the Muir Woods as well as Sausalito. And to top off that tour, you get a San Francisco Bay Cruise. Once our fun in San Francisco is all said and done, we're then going to hop aboard the California Zephyr train and do 2 nights on the train from San Francisco back to Chicago. Now, that train ride is beautiful as well. You go through Eastern California, over through the Sierra Nevada mountains, through the Donner Pass, going through Nevada, going through the Rocky Mountains of Utah and Colorado, across the farmlands of Nebraska and Iowa, leading us back to Chicago. This trip is 9 days, 8 nights. We get hop on, hop off tours of both Seattle and San Francisco. We get a sightseeing tour of Muir Woods as well as Sausalito, topped off by a sightseeing cruise of San Francisco Bay. All in all, 5 nights on board the train, 3 nights hotel, and once again, absolutely want to upgrade to the sleepers on this. You'll get the private room with beds, shower access, and meals on the train will be included. Keep in mind, the early bird special going on right now. If you upgrade for 2019, you get $200 off for the roomettes or $300 off per couple for the bedrooms. Start planning your 2019 trips. I can tell you, the phones have been ringing off the hook right now, and it's been very popular. So you won't want to miss out on your opportunity to take full advantage of this promotion. Another great package, in fact, it's been one of our top trips for the past 7 years. It is our Glacier National Park Express. Now, this by far is one of our most popular seasonal packages because Glacier Park season is very limited. In fact, it's only from about mid-June to mid-September. And the reason for that is simply because, yes, it is in northern Montana, so it does snow about 9 months of the year up there. So really their time to shine is June to September. And I can tell you, I've been here 5.5 years. Every single year, it sells out far in advance. So if you are looking to go to Glacier Park, definitely want to book now for next year. So this trip is amazing because it visits not just Glacier National Park, which is beautiful in itself, but it visits 2 iconic cities and utilizes one of the most scenic routes on board Amtrak with the Empire Builders. In fact, on the Empire Builder, you see mountains, you see lakes, you see pine forests, you see some really beautiful landscapes as you pass through the northern part of the United States, as you go from Chicago to Glacier National Park and Seattle. 1 amazing national park, 2 iconic cities, 1 amazing trip, 10 days, 9 nights. While we're in Chicago, we get the Shoreline Sightseeing Architecture Cruise, which is the boat ride that will bring you down the river in Chicago, and it highlights a lot of the famous buildings and skyscrapers that Chicago is known for. In fact, Chicago is the birthplace of the modern skyscraper, so you'll see such buildings as the Willis Tower, formerly known as the Sears Tower, the Chicago Tribune Building, the WGN Building, and my personal favorite, the Marina Towers. We'll do the overnight train from Chicago to Glacier National Park, and when we get into Glacier Park, we'll do 3 nights at the Glacier Park Lodge, which is the oldest and most historic of the Glacier Park Railroad hotels. And while we're there, we have 2 tours included. The first tour is called the Big Sky Circle Tour. Now, the Big Sky Circle Tour is the main tour of the park. It's a full-day tour that utilizes the Going to the Sun Road, which is the main road that passes right through the middle of Glacier National Park. This, by far, is the most comprehensive tour that Glacier Park has to offer. The second tour we get is a boat ride in Two Medicine Lake, which is situated in the Two Medicine Valley. The best part about it is that area is actually not covered on the first tour, so you get to see a whole other area of Glacier National Park. Now, after our 3 nights in Glacier Park are all said and done, we then hop aboard the Empire Builder and do a really quick overnight on board the train to Seattle, where we top the trip off with 2 nights in Seattle. And while we're there, we get admission to the Space Needle, Seattle's most iconic landmark, as well as the Chihuly Garden and Glass exhibit, and as well a multi-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour of Seattle, which will take you around the city on a big loop, and you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions. Overall, 7 nights hotel, 2 nights on board the train, and yes, even for those 2 nights, you definitely would want to upgrade to the sleepers, where you'll get a private room, beds, shower access, and your meals on the train will be included. So let's pay a visit to some of our most popular getaway packages as well, as we have tons and tons of options of these. And the best part is all of these trips can be picked up right from your hometown. So the first we'll go over is brand new for 2018, 2 new national park packages we just launched for this past summer, Arches in Canyonlands National Park. So beautiful. This trip does 2 nights in Grand Junction, Colorado, which is amazing, and it includes a full day guided sightseeing tour of Arches and Canyonlands National Parks. Really fantastic. Or maybe you want to go up to our neighbors to the north and pay a visit to Niagara Falls up in Ontario, Canada. This package is fantastic. It's always popular year-round because there's always something to do up in Niagara Falls. We do 3 nights hotel up in a hotel that's literally going to be footsteps away from Horseshoe Falls, which is the biggest of the falls. We get the Niagara Adventure Pass, which gets us admission to Niagara Falls' top 4 attractions. So we get the Journey Behind the Falls tour. We get Niagara's Fury, which is the 4D show about the making of Niagara Falls. We get the White Water Walk, as well as the Voyage to the Falls, which is the boat ride that will bring you up to the falls. Along with all of that, with the Adventure Pass, you also get use of the WeGo system, which is Niagara Falls' transportation system. We also get admission tickets to the Skylon Tower, which is the observation tower that overlooks the whole Niagara region. And to top it off, we get a dinner at a popular local restaurant. Highly recommend this restaurant called the Watermark Restaurant. It's a really magnificent place that is inside the Hilton Hotel. During the summer months, during the weekends during the summer, Niagara Falls does a firework display Fridays and Saturday nights. The Watermark Restaurant is by far the premier spot to see the fireworks. You can have an amazing cuisine and have some really breathtaking views of the fireworks over Niagara Falls. How amazing is that? So if you're interested in that, definitely keep this package in your consideration. Now let's continue and let's pay a visit to one of my favorite spots. That's right, the Big Easy itself. We're going down to New Orleans, down to the Bayou. And this is by far our most popular package for New Orleans. It's our New Orleans Ultimate Getaway. 4 days, 3 nights, right in the French Quarter or on Canal Street. While we're in New Orleans, we have a couple different things included. First off, we get a set of choices between either the Swamp and Bayou Tour, the Hurricane Katrina Tour, the Steamboat Notches Evening Jazz Cruise, or the Oak Alley Plantation Tour. Now, my recommendation is the Steamboat Notches Evening Jazz Cruise. I loved it. Because think about it, you kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone with that. Not only A, do you get to go on board one of those big old-fashioned paddle wheel boats, but you get to hear some of that live jazz music that people flock to New Orleans to hear. Along with all this, we get dinner at a popular local restaurant. Highly recommend a restaurant we work with called Two Jogs, which is the second oldest restaurant in the city of New Orleans. You're going to have some fantastic Cajun cuisine, as well as you get the New Orleans Pass for 2 days, which is this pass that can get you into more than 25 of New Orleans' top attractions, such as the San Francisco Plantation House, Blaine Kern's Mardi Gras World, which is the warehouse where they make all the Mardi Gras floats, as well as you can do a Creole cooking class, you can go to do the zoo, the aquarium, you can do a walking tour of the French Quarter, a ghost tour, you can even visit the National World War II Museum, which is amazing. Highly recommend this trip, and I always recommend as well, if you have time, definitely feel free to add a couple more nights because New Orleans is truly a special place. Now let's move on. Let's visit the most popular city in the United States, home to over 8.5 million people. That's right, we're talking about the Big Apple, the city that never sleeps, New York City. And New York is very popular for us all year, as you can imagine, because there's always something happening in New York. Always something great. This is by far our most popular package for New York. It's 4 days, 3 nights, 3 nights hotel right in a Midtown Manhattan hotel. While we're there, we get a multi-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, which will take us around the city on a big loop, and we can get off and on as we please at all the different sites and attractions. We get dinner at a popular restaurant. Recommend a restaurant called The View Restaurant that we work with. It's the revolving restaurant atop the Marriott Marquis Hotel in Times Square. Has some really breathtaking views of the New York skyline as you have a really memorable dinner. And lastly, you get the New York City Pass, which gives you admission into a bunch of New York's top attractions, such as the Empire State Building, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the American Museum of Natural History, the Guggenheim. You go to the 9/11 Museum and Memorial. You can even take a ferry out to Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island. One thing I will mention as well with New York City, we actually work with all of the top Broadway shows in New York, and we can get you tickets for all of the top Broadway shows in New York as well. Some really amazing seats, orchestra seating or front row mezzanine. It's all for you. So keep that in mind. If you want to add some show tickets in New York, we can do that. We work with all of them except for Hamilton. Everything else is good to go, though, just no Hamilton. That's still very, very hard to come by, even in New York. And maybe we go a little bit south and visit our nation's capital while we're at it. New York City or Washington, D.C., ultimate getaway. Most popular trip for Washington, 4 days, 3 nights. 3 nights hotel right in the Capitol Hill or DuPont Circle area of town. While we're there, we get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing trolley for 2 days. We also get admission to either the International Spy Museum or the Newseum. Now, the Spy Museum is all about the history of spies and espionage, and they have a really neat James Bond exhibit. Or the Newseum, which is all about the history of the news and the mass media. And lastly, once again, we get my personal favorite, the Monuments by Moonlight Tour. But what about for our folks out on the West Coast? Or maybe you want to go visit the West Coast. Say no more. San Francisco, always a popular spot. This is our most popular trip for San Fran. It's 4 days, 3 nights, 3 nights hotel right in the heart of San Francisco. And while we're there, we get a 2-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour. We get the dinner at a popular Pier 39 restaurant, as well as we get the San Francisco City Pass, which gets us admission to a bunch of San Francisco's top attractions. So we get to use the cable cars. We can go to the California Academy of Sciences. We can do a blue and gold Fleet Bay cruise adventure, as well as go to the Aquarium of the Bay. And lastly, of course, Seattle, always a very popular spot. And I can tell you, a lot of people will utilize this package maybe before or after their Alaskan cruise, maybe spend some time in the Emerald City. This package is amazing. 3 nights hotel right in central Seattle. While we're there, we can do either a multi-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour or a guided sightseeing tour. It's completely up to you. And then you also get admission to the Space Needle, as well as the Chihuly Garden and Glass exhibit. And then you also get the Seattle City Pass, which gets you admission to a bunch of Seattle's top attractions, such as the Museum of Pop Culture, the Seattle Aquarium. You can do a Royal Argosy Harbor Cruise. You can go to the Woodland Park Zoo, just to name a few activities. Now, I know throughout the presentation I've been mentioning about the packages and destinations, but what about the train experience? So let's go over that. And the first thing we're going to go over is the luggage policy with Amtrak. Now, take what you know about the airlines and picture the exact opposite, because the luggage on Amtrak is the most generous in the travel industry. Each person's allowed 2 pieces of carry-on luggage, up to 50 pounds each bag, as well as 2 pieces of check-in luggage, up to 50 pounds each bag, as well as a personal item. Figure along the lines of a backpack, briefcase, pocketbook, purse, laptop bag, or even a small duffel bag. This is all included when boarding the train. Good luck finding that on the airlines. I think most airlines at this point are now charging at minimum $25 for even 1 checked bags. With Amtrak, 2 pieces of carry-on, 2 pieces of check-in, and a personal item. And I know I've been mentioning a lot about onboard accommodations and roomettes and bedrooms, but what exactly does this all mean? So let's hop right into that. And the first thing we're going to go over is coach accommodations, which, as you can see, is a pretty standard seat on board the train. But take what you know about airplane seating and picture the exact opposite, because coach seating on Amtrak is very comfortable. The seats themselves are typically double the size of your standard airplane seat. They recline at a 45-degree angle, and they also have a leg rest as well. And the legroom is uncomparable. In fact, last year I traveled with one of my colleagues who's 6'6". He could fully stretch his legs out and still have room to spare. Good luck finding that on the airlines. And if you do, let me know, because you're going to be paying quite the premium for that. Once again, this is standard on board Amtrak. Now, coach seating is great. However, meals are not included, and neither is shower access. If you're doing a night or more on board the train, you're probably going to want to eat. You're probably going to want to have to take a shower. So where do we go from there? That's right, we upgrade to the roomettes, which, keep in mind, roomettes, you upgrade to the roomettes on any 2019 vacation package, you get $200 off per couple. You won't want to miss out on that. And this is what the roomettes are. During the day, it's 2 big seats that face each other with a big picture window in between and a fold-out table in between. At night, the 2 seats convert to the lower bed, and right above where this lady's head is, the top bed pulls down. Now, I do want to make note with the roomettes, meals are included. In the bathrooms, however, are down the hall. And yes, they are private but shared. So yes, you will be sharing them with the rest of the people with roomette accommodations in the same car, but they're private. Once you're in there, you're in there. There's a lock on the door. It's not like a college dormitory where people are coming in and out. And the neat thing is, it's a full-size bathroom with a full-size shower. And I can tell you, taking a shower on board the train is quite an experience in itself. In fact, there is nothing better than taking a shower at 80 miles per hour. Now, you might say, Nick, this sounds great, but is there a way that I can get my own bathroom and toilet, sink, and shower in my room? Is there a way to? Yes, there is. We can upgrade you to the bedrooms. Now, the bedrooms are a little bit bigger than the roomettes, and it's a bit of a different setup. So during the day, it's more of a sofa-style seating where that gentleman is sitting, with an extra captain's chair as well where the lady is sitting. At night, that sofa-style seating converts to the lower bed, and right above where his head is, the top bed pulls down. Now, if you look at the right-hand side, you see a little diagram with a little of what the room looks like. And you see like a little closet-looking thing on the left-hand side of that. That is a private toilet, sink, and shower in room for your use and your use alone when you have the bedroom accommodations. And I know I've been mentioning throughout the presentation that whenever you do upgrade to sleepers, you get your meals included, but what exactly does this all mean? Well, let's pick on the airlines once more. Take those tinfoil meals you get on an airplane and throw it out the window, because the food on Amtrak is delicious, and you would be amazed at the quality of meals that are served on board the train. I'm talking for breakfast, for example, there's pancakes or waffles, bacon and eggs, omelets. For lunch, there's juicy cheeseburgers, grilled chicken salads, pasta dishes. For dinner, there's fish, there's chicken, and there's Amtrak's main dish, which you can see right on your screen. In fact, I've had it 2 nights in a row once, and I loved it, and I know you will too, with the Amtrak signature steak. And the whole process about dining on board the train is really lovely. As soon as you board the train, the dining car attendant will come by, set up reservation times that you want to eat your meals. When it's time to eat, you head down to the dining car, take a seat in one of these big, comfortable booths with a white linen tablecloth layout. You get to order from a menu and from a server like you would at a restaurant. So really, if you think about it, Amtrak isn't just transportation. It really isn't. It's an experience in itself. It's a hotel on wheels, a restaurant on wheels, and sightseeing on wheels, all rolled up into one amazingly unique experience that you're all gonna love. Highly recommend it. And we're just getting started here, my friends. I barely brushed the surface of any of all of the packages really that we have to offer to all of you. The best way to see everything that we have to offer is you pay a visit to amtrakvacations.com, and it'll bring you here to our main page. There's a couple different ways to see all of the different packages that we have to offer. This is one of the options. If you hover over where that red arrow is pointing with that destinations tab, that drops down and you can navigate through and visit each destination and package that we had by destination. Or you can search by in this section where this red arrow is pointing in the middle of our website, where you can search by destination, search by specific train routes, by top stations, or even by your geographic region. As well as a really great spot you're going to want to check out on our website is the trip planning section on the far right, that far right tab where that red arrow is pointing. There you can navigate through and see some really great useful information to know before you go and before you plan your trip, of potentially what it's like, life's like on board the train experience, luggage, meals and dining, accessibility and special needs, identification. It all can be found under the trip planning section on our website. And once you find the right trip in mind, or you have the right trip in mind, how do you book? Well, you can give us a call at 1-800-268-7252, and one of our amazing vacations consultants will be more than happy to help you plan this out. They're a really fantastic team here. You can book through the website at amtrakvacations.com, but what I always recommend and what I always do is give a call, or even better, pay a visit to your local travel agent. They are the best way to book Amtrak vacations. I love my local travel agent. I think they're one of the best resources out there, and I use a travel agent each and every single time I travel for my own personal travels, because they always have the best. They have it best for me. They're always looking for my best interests, make suggestions, recommendations. Utilize your local travel agent. They'll love you for it. And keep in mind, too, we have some really great everyday discounts as well. If you're traveling with any children ages 2 to 12, the children receive a 50% discount off the rail portion of an Amtrak Vacations package. If you're a senior and you're age over 65, you get a 10% discount off the rail portion of an Amtrak Vacations package. And lastly, if you're active duty military, you, your spouse, and your dependents get a 10% discount off the rail portion of an Amtrak Vacations package, just as a thank you for your service. And keep in mind, everyone, the early bird sale is here. It's good till next Friday, the 14th of September. If you book any 2019 vacation package, you save $200. You get $200 right off the top when you upgrade to a roomette per couple, or $300 off per couple when you upgrade to a bedroom. Like I said, today's been crazy busy because of this. You don't want to miss out on this opportunity, as it's only here for a limited time. It's an amazing special, and you can get really great value and get a jump start on planning your 2019 vacation package. And I've seen tons of questions pouring in today, and I'm going to get to those in just a moment. I just want you to all just don't forget to download the handout where that top arrow is pointing. It's going to have a lot of the great information on a lot of the trips we went over today. And as well as, like I said, if you have any questions at all, please input them into the bottom part of where that questions box is, and I'm going to answer those in just a moment. But before I do so, I need to name myself a winner of a $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card. And today's Amtrak Vacations gift card winner is Scudder Briggs. Congratulations, Scudder. Awesome job. And we hope to see you soon on Amtrak Vacations. So I see tons of questions coming in, so I'm going to hit those. So let's see, start from the top. We got a question here from Robert. In the bedrooms, is there a ladder to provide access from the top bed to the floor? There are more along the lines of steps and not ladders. It's like 2 or 3 really big steps. It's not hard to get up and down from the top bunk. I can tell you, my mother, who's going to be 73 years old, she does have some mobility issues. She actually has not had an issue getting up and down. So it's quite easy, even if you're a bit older, if you do have some mobility issues. Let's see. Edward, I'm aware of that. Let's see what we got. Robert, can you provide a hotel for my wife in Los Angeles the night before we take the Coast Starlight? Yes, we can. But unfortunately, there isn't really too many hotels within walking distance of LA Union Station, just based on where the hotels, the train station's located in LA. It's just tricky to get a hotel right by it. But there are tons of hotels that are nearby that we can absolutely arrange for you. We got Scott Smith. The Scott Smith. Can you get reservations at the El Tovar South Rim? It is a very popular destination. Reservations can happen a year in advance. Can Amtrak Vacations do better within a package? Yes, we can, Scott. That is a fantastic question. The El Tovar, we can get the space for you there, along with some of the other hard-to-get lodges inside the Grand Canyon, such as the Bright Angel or the Thunderbird Lodge. We can get the space at the El Tovar for you. That is a fantastic question, Scott. I appreciate that. Scudder's asking, can you tell us more about the Coast Starlight from Seattle to LA, Anaheim? We are first-time riders and want to know about the scenery and any stops. I mean, that scenery is unreal, Scudder. You're mostly seeing, there's points where it rides along parallel with the Pacific Ocean. I can tell you, one of my colleagues just did it about 2 months ago, and there were points that he could see seals and sea lions on the rocks next to the ocean from the train. You're also going to see, especially if you're up more in the Pacific Northwest, you're going to pass through some really great evergreen and pine forests, which is really beautiful, and it's just really, really an amazing experience. There's a reason why that train every single year gets voted the most scenic train in North America. Let's see, Tom. We live in San Diego. How can we connect to packages? How can we? Yeah, from San Diego, you would take the Pacific Surfliner, which is the Southern California regional train. You could take that directly from San Diego up to LA, and really LA could then be your gateway to heading north or east. Lisa, are the hotels 3 or 4 star hotels? We work with 3 to 5 star properties in all of the destinations that we work with. Susan, in the shared bathroom / shower in the roomette package, is the toilet in a separate space from the shower? Yes. So there's like little like toilet rooms, like bathrooms, kind of like a public bathroom with a toilet and sink in there. But then there's also separate rooms with a separate room with a shower in it. So each car has a few of them in each. So they're not all together. Mary Jane, you get the gold medal from me. You asked the best question. What about solo travelers? Yes. Any of our packages can be done as a solo. In fact, I can tell you about a quarter of our travelers do travel solo. And I can tell you, traveling by rail, I've done it myself as a solo traveler, is quite relaxing. I love it. It's a nice way to relax and decompress and just really focus and enjoy yourself and have time for yourself. I love traveling solo by rail, and we can do that. Any of our packages can be done as a solo traveler. The pricing will be a little bit different, but you can always feel free to give us a call or visit your local travel agent, and we can get some great pricing for you for being a solo traveler. Sharon, I tried to find out information about Los Angeles to New Orleans. The train went west, but going back west, there were only buses back. They might have been doing service work. I know Amtrak was doing that, but there usually is that train from LA to New Orleans, which that train only runs 3 days a week in each direction, but that train is operational, the Sunset Limited. Like I said, it just doesn't run every day, and I knew they were working on it, but I know it's back to the service is back to normal as of right now. Gregory, if you already booked a trip in 2019, can you still take advantage of the upgrade and the early bird special? Unfortunately, no, you cannot. Unfortunately, it's for new reservations only. Let's see. Sharon, are the bedrooms bigger in the bedrooms? Are the beds in the bedrooms bigger than in the roomettes? Is there more headroom between the upper? Yes, the bottom bunk is a little bit bigger in the bedrooms than as opposed to the roomettes. Not by much, but it's a tad bit bigger. Let's see. Who else do we got? There we go. Jack, we have a 5-hour layover in Chicago. What is there to do? Well, luckily, Chicago Union Station has a really wonderful luggage check, which you know, for a couple dollars, you can leave your bags there, and then you can leave the station and go hit the city for a little bit. Luckily, Chicago Union Station is right in the heart of the loop of downtown Chicago. In fact, the Willis Tower, formerly known as the Sears Tower, is literally 2.5 blocks away from Union Station. So if you want to go check out the second tallest building in the US, you can go do that. And there's a lot of great dining options surrounding Union Station. In fact, there's a really great restaurant literally across the street, diagonally across the street from Union Station in Chicago. It's called Lou Mitchell's. It's a Chicago staple. It's been there for, I think for over 100 years. It's a neat little diner type of restaurant. And that restaurant also marks the very start in the beginning of the famous Route 66. Literally, the Route 66 sign is right outside of the restaurant, and that sign, that street post, that restaurant marks the start of Route 66. There's tons to do in Chicago in the surrounding area of the train station. Let's see what we got. Who else? Yes, Jack. Going from California to Pennsylvania, we'll be able to get off the train in between. If you set it up that way, you can absolutely do that. Sharon, should I go to AAA Travel Agent for help with booking the trips? I love all travel agents. So if you utilize your local travel agent, please just use it. I love my local travel agent, and I use them regularly. I know I work in the travel industry. I could probably set up the travel for myself, but I do this all day. I'd rather have someone else handle it for me, someone that knows, especially about destinations I've never been to and maybe places I've never been and I have no idea about. I let my travel agent do my planning for me. They give me an award-winning itinerary, and I go follow it. And I've yet to have a bad trip that my travel agent has set up. And I love travel agent. I mean, this is their job, is to provide dream trips and services to their clients. They're planning vacations. I mean, at the end of the day, they're not doing insurance. They're a wonderful, wonderful resource to plan fun experiences. Love it. Let's see. It doesn't have a name here, but with the Grand Rail experience, let's see. I don't have a name here. So with the Grand Rail experience, can we start in Washington, D.C.? By all means, yes, you can do so. You can start or end in Washington, D.C., or you can start and end in your hotel. Like I said, we can deviate from these, and we can customize it to make it more of what you want. Awesome question. Thank you, Sharon. And you're welcome, and thank you for your wonderful comments. Any more questions, everyone? These are some really great questions. Sharon, do you know of a train stop near Wichita, Kansas? I'm in Kansas. There is quite a few stations, actually. There's Topeka, you have Lawrence, Newton, Kansas. I don't believe Wichita has one, but you definitely have a whole bunch. Amber, I'm sorry. For some reason on my end, it just says waiting for a name and then a bunch of numbers. So that question was from Amber, the one with the Grand Rail experience. And thank you. That's a great question. Thank you so much, Jack. I really appreciate that as well. Thank you so much. I must say, the questions from this session have blown away the morning session I had today. So thank you all. Let's see, Scudder, can you get off the train at a stop as long as you are back on board when the train departs? Yes and no. So it gets tricky because I can tell you, especially on the long distance routes, those trains only pass through town once a day. They're not like multiple a day and have multiple departures daily. They're usually once a day. And usually the stops are, geez, 5 to 15, 20 minutes, depending on how big the city and station is. But I can tell you on a lot of on the long distance routes, there's usually one or two stops that does a longer stop. Like for instance, like I said, I did the Southwest Chief last year. The stop in Albuquerque, I was going from Chicago to Los Angeles, and the stop in Albuquerque was for about an hour and a half. So yes, I was able to get off, and I took maybe about 5 or 6 city block walk to stretch my legs and see Albuquerque. I had never been there, so it was great because I got to experience another city and I got to stretch my legs, but I did get to see a little bit. But usually if you do want an opportunity to get off and explore wherever you're passing through, you would just want to set it up ahead of time before your trip, so you can set up a block time and maybe spend night in a hotel and get to immerse yourself in whatever city you pass through. Great question. Yes, Sharon. Sharon's giving me suggestions. You should tell them that they are great veggie and vegan options on board the dining cars, and the food is wonderful. Thank you for that, Sharon. Yes, Amtrak does accommodate to veggie and vegan diets as well as kosher diets as well. But say if you do have like a food allergy, or maybe you have like a gluten intolerance or peanut allergy, it happens. Tons of people have them. It's okay. Just let us know, as well as let either your travel agent know, and also let your server know on board the train like you would at a restaurant, so they can just do their best to accommodate to your restrictions. Valerie, great. Valerie's asking a magnificent question. This goes for if you're in coach seating or with the sleepers. Can you use a sleep apnea machine if you ride in coach? Yes, 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 yes. In fact, almost every single or every other row of coach seats has an electrical plug on them, so you can by all means use a sleep app machine. I can tell you my father uses one, has used it on the train before. So it definitely is useful, and you can definitely do that. And with the rooms, they do have electrical outlets in there as well, so you can definitely do that. Or if you have an oxygen tank that requires power, anything like that, you can do so. Bobby, would Amtrak allow us to book our car onto a train? So there is only one, literally one auto train in the United States, and it runs between Lorton, Virginia, which is a suburb of Washington, D.C., as well as Sanford, Florida, which is a suburb of Orlando. That's the only one. Those are the only two places it runs in between. Scudder, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and thank you, and good job for winning that gift card. Let's see, Lewis, amazing. This is one of the best questions I get throughout the presentation. Tips for servers. Yes, for the servers on board the dining car, you would want to tip them typically the standard how you would tip someone in a restaurant. So say for breakfast, 15 to 18%, lunch 18 to 20%, dinner I usually go a hard 20%. You would just want to tip them like you would at a restaurant. And you would also want to tip your car attendant on the train. So, and if you have the sleepers, on each car, there's a person that's there for you to really help you out and make your journey go as easy as hassle-free as possible. They're there to make up your beds, answer any questions and any concerns you might have. I always recommend tipping them as well, $5 to $10, $5 per person per day for your car attendant. Scudder, can you request port or starboard side of the sleepers and of the train and the sleeper? Unfortunately, you can, but you can't. You can request it, but the way the train is set up, it all depends on that specific day of when they put the cars on. So it really is up in the air. I can tell you if it's a concern that you want to see something that might be on the other side from your room, the best part is go down to the observation car. You can open up shop in there. It has a glass dome top with floor to ceiling windows. The seats actually face outwards towards the windows. It really is the best way to see scenery on both sides and above you on the train. Great question, Scudder. You're asking some great ones. William, is there Wi-Fi on the trains? No, yes and no. I will preface by saying yes and no. On the long distance routes out west, no. Amtrak is putting them on train by train, but as you can imagine, putting internet on a cross-country train definitely is a process in itself. So Amtrak's doing it train by train, but it's quite a process. So the long distance routes do not. On the shorter regional routes, like the Northeast Regional or the Acela up in the Northeast, like between Boston as far down as to Washington, D.C., yes. On the Saluki and the Wolverine and the Blue Water and the Mississippi River Runner, all the smaller regional routes, yes. As well as on the Pacific Surfliner, and the Auto Train does have Wi-Fi as well. But I can tell you, I myself am a big fan of tech and always being connected to the internet and all that. I can tell you the train is like the one time I like to have nothing, because to me it's my opportunity to kick back, disconnect, grab a drink, and see the beauty of the United States pass before my eyes, because it really is quite wonderful. Lisa, can you get internet access via your carrier, or will it signal get lost? Yes and no. I can tell you, when I did the Southwest Chief, it was very spotty. It worked in a lot of places. Actually, I'd say it worked about 70% of the time, the data from my phone. But the other 30, it just doesn't come in. A lot of the times you're passing through deserts and forests and farmland and prairies and plains and things like the mountains. So a lot of the times it can work, but a lot of times it can as well. But like I said, it's a prime opportune time to disconnect and enjoy the United States' scenery. We got so many beautiful sights here in the U.S., and I think it's severely, severely underestimated. It's really eye-opening once you especially take the train of what we have in this country and how big the United States is too. It's crazy. Let's see. We got a lot of Lucina. I unfortunately missed the most of the webinar. Stuck in a meeting. How can I go? Yes, Lucina, we will be emailing this out as well. But tomorrow, if you are around, and this goes for everyone, if you're around tomorrow, this exact presentation, like I'm doing now, this exact one, this is going to be the one I'm going to use, by the way. I'll make sure to let my marketing team know. This will be up on our blog tomorrow. So if you go to amtrakvacations.com, at the very, very, very top, you'll see an option that says blog. You click on that. This will be up there by tomorrow afternoon. And you can re-listen to me do this presentation for all of you and learn all that there is need to know about Amtrak Vacations. Let's see, who else? Bobby, can we specify a certain side, car and lower? Yes, you can definitely request an upper and a lower room, and that we can absolutely look into for you. We can differentiate an upper room an upper level room to a lower level. It's just sides of the train can be completely can be up in the air, because it all depends on when they load the cars. Kim, speaking of drinks, is there alcohol on board? Yes, alcohol is sold on board the train, beer, wine, and spirits. However, another really added bonus to having the sleeping accommodation is you're actually allowed to bring on your own alcohol. It's a really great amenity of having the sleepers, so keep that in mind. The only thing is, if you have your sleepers, you can bring on board your own beer, wine, or spirits. It just has to be enjoyed in the comfort of your own room. You just can't bring it out into the public areas, and it cannot be in glass. So no glass bottles, unfortunately. But if you wanted to bring in like a bottle, like a box of wine, or cans of beer, or a plastic bottle of some spirits, by all means you can do so. Lucina, yes. Are there viewing areas on the train, like to relax with a drink and just stare out? Yes, the observation car. That is the best spot. That is what I do when I go in the observation car. I usually grab a glass of wine, look out the window. I usually will bring a book, but to be honest, the book never gets read because I'm too spellbound by what's going on outside of the windows. Sin, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Sin, and I appreciate that for all your kind words, and I thank you for attending today. Bobby, can we combine the use of a USA Rail Pass with an Amtrak Vacations package? I wouldn't recommend it, because the USA Rail Pass is unfortunately not like how they have in Europe. Europe, they got a really wonderful system out there with the USA, with their Rail Pass, where you can, just hop on and off the train when you please. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that with Amtrak, because a lot of the trains are, once a day. What I would always recommend is, if plan out what you want and then go point to point. That's always the best bet to get what you want. And that's what it's all about, is providing the best rail vacation that you would want to take. Great questions. These questions have been unbelievable. Lisa, when will pets be allowed on long trips? I do not, unfortunately, foresee that in a long time. Amtrak does not allow animals on the train, everyone, by the way, unless it's a service animal. So unless you have to have the proper paperwork. So no comfort animals, unfortunately. It has to be a dog, and it has to include the specific paperworks for the train. Now, Amtrak will allow for the regional routes, if it's travel within 6 hours, they will allow a small dog and a small cat, but it has to be kept inside a carrier for the whole duration. But that's for the smaller regional routes. I wouldn't recommend bringing any animals on our vacation packages, unfortunately, unless it's a service animal. So it looks like we got to wrap it up for today because I've taken the full hour. So I just want to thank you all for your amazing, amazing questions. Definitely the best I've had today. So I appreciate all of that. And it's great to see some familiar names that were in here today too. So nice to see you all again. If anyone has any questions at all, then maybe I didn't hit on your question, or maybe you think of something after the fact, there's that number right on your screen. Give us a call, 1-800-268-7252. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and on Saturdays, 9 a.m. till 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you would love to book, you can also call that number right on your screen, or what I always recommend and what I always would do, give a call, or better yet, pay a visit to your local travel agent, and they will be more than happy to assist you. So until next time, everyone, I hope you all take care. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. And definitely keep in mind with that early bird sale going on that you won't want to miss it on that. So thank you everyone for attending. I hope you all take care. And until next time, everyone, take care. Bye.